everyone! So today I thought I'd show you everything I made last year. This is going to be more of a chatty video, so I know it won't be for everyone, but I did think that it would be a good chance to show you the projects that didn't make it onto YouTube or Instagram or anywhere for some of them. Now, obviously last year was a really weird year, so I do just want to preface this by saying that I was used to making things with my hands and like spending all day sewing and making, because that's what I did for work before the costume industry, you know. So a lot of the projects I did were largely to make my days feel more like they normally felt, which is obviously not the situation that everyone was in, so I'm throwing that out there because I don't want this to turn into a comparison thing. But anyway, I will get into it now. So I've grouped these into categories. I just thought that would make a little more sense than going completely chronologically. So the first group of projects that I wanted to show is corsets. So I started making 6 corsets last year. I've finished 4 of them so far. That's not to say I'm not going to finish the other 2. First up are 3 corsets that I made one after the other right at the beginning of our first lockdown. They were a black overbust, a pink and black underbust, and a pink and lace underbust. Essentially, these were all made to test changes to patterns that I've been developing. So I've mentioned this before, but I really don't like mock-ups. I know that some of you will agree with me and some of you will think that I'm crazy, but I really try to avoid mock-ups if I can. But I do make multiple finished versions with a pattern when I draft a new pattern. So that's essentially what these 3 corsets are finished versions of patterns that I've been working on. So the black overbust is the final version of a pattern that I've also used on my Atlantis corset and my Aphrodite corset. I will put pictures of those on screen as well, even though they weren't made last year. And the 2 underbust corsets are variations of the pattern I used for my Artemis corset. So with these 2 corsets, I really wanted projects that I could put a lot of focus into, so that's why I did the pattern matching. That's why there's the lace on the pink lacy one, which I sewed all on by hand. Really, the purpose of both of these was to take up time, which I'm sure will sound absolutely crazy to some people, but that's what happened. Anyway, I started one other corset with this pattern. I will stick some footage there. Obviously, this is one of the ones that isn't done yet, but this is going to be a history bounding corset. So it does use the same pattern as the other one, so it's obviously not going to provide any bust support because it's just a short underbust corset, but it is going to help support heavier skirts and just generally create a slightly more polished waistline. And yes, so there's elastic in the side of it. Yeah, it's generally meant to be comfortable. I won't get too much into it because I am doing a video about it, but there's just a few bits left, so boning, binding on the other side, and I was going to do some sort of flossing on it. I have thought about releasing a pattern for this as a bit of a test run for a bigger project this year. If you want a pattern for this, if you'd be interested, let me know. I'll pop one of the pictures of the other one up again so you can see the silhouette. Next is the other corset that isn't finished. So in case it wasn't clear by the pictures that I put on screen a minute ago, I have an ongoing series of corsets which are inspired by Greek goddesses, and this one is inspired by Hera. So this has been in the works for a fair amount of time, but it just kept hitting roadblocks. There is actually a photo shoot collaboration with this planned as well, so it would be really nice to get it done, to be able to do that. But yeah, just with lockdown and everything, and then I actually started making a video of the making progress for this. This is before I started my channel, and I ended up losing all the footage and just sort of put a dent in my motivation for this project. But I would like to get back to it soon, and the plan originally was actually for this to be my entry into the Foundations Revealed contest this year. So if I want to do that, I would need to do it by the end of the month. Not sure yet, but it'll be finished fairly soon regardless. And the last corset on the list is an 1830s corset. This is probably my favorite thing that I made last year, but I'm going to be really mean and I'm going to keep it a secret a little while longer. Sorry. I did film a video about this one, which will be done at some point. It needs to be edited still, and I did also write an article about it for Foundations Revealed. So there will be details about it, just not yet. While I'm on that subject, actually, I did also write another article for Foundations Revealed last year, which was about how to make resin buttons to replace a missing one in a vintage set, basically. I don't know if y'all are into that sort of thing, but it is closer to the prop type stuff that I do at work, so it is fairly likely that some of that genre of costuming, I guess, will make it onto this channel at some point. I guess while I'm on the subject of costume adjacent things, I could also mention I also learned how to crochet and then how to spin last year. I picked quite an ambitious first spinning project. I actually bought an entire sheep fleece and processed nearly the whole thing. There's a little bit left still, but yeah. And then also a couple other packs of different wool that I ended up spinning for Christmas presents. Yes, I spent a lot of time on it. I'm not sure whether it's something that will ever be on this channel, I guess, unless maybe it's part of a bigger project, but I thought it might be worth mentioning here just because I did spend a fair amount of time last year on it. So next up on the list, I wanted to talk about clothes that I made. So some of these have videos, but most of them don't. First is a super simple skirt. I wore it in one of the videos, but the video's not about it. So essentially it's just a giant rectangle and it's cartridge pleated onto a waistband. Really simple. It does have cool pockets, I guess. The pockets are 18th century inspired, but they're solidly attached to the waistband instead of tying on separately. But the skirt does have slits in the side to access them. It works okay, it doesn't work great. I'm gonna keep trying alternative versions of that, I guess. Next is this caftan. So this is the TLC caftan pattern from Decades of Style. This is actually the first commercial pattern that I've used in quite a while, and I have to say I really liked it. I also have to say my mind was definitely still very tunnel vision-esque at this point. This fabric had a really small repeat on it. I think it was 8 threads or 10 threads wide or something, and for some reason I got it into my head that I really needed to follow one single thread while I was sewing. And I also French seamed everything, and I don't know, I got really into it, and I have learned that I will not be using a fabric like that again because it brings out some really unsustainable habits in me, apparently. Though I will say the finished garment is terrific, and it's probably one of my most worn pieces this year. Next is my bedgown, which is also one of my most worn pieces this year. This was made following the Burnley and Trowbridge sew along, which was also terrific. That's here on YouTube. It's a series of videos on their channel, and the pattern is from their website. And yeah, I mean, I love this. I've worn it all the time in my videos, I think. Mine was made from an IKEA bedsheet, and it's lined in linen. The print is, I'm not sure it's totally accurate. To be honest, I don't really mind either way because I didn't make it for reenactment. I just made it for wearing, and I do usually wear it like open like this, I have to say. I don't usually like cross it over or tuck it into anything. Anyway, I did also start a walking skirt. I don't have, you know, a walking skirt is a walking skirt. There's so many videos now, I'm sure everyone knows what it looks like. I will stick a photo so you can see the fabric. This one has gotten pushed to the back burner a few times now. I do need to finish it because it's part of a bigger project, but I'm not sure if it's worth like doing a video for something like that. I know people have done like picking up UFOs and finishing them off, but there is another walking skirt planned, so like, do I really need a full walking skirt video and then a half a walking skirt video? Other than that, I made an 18th century style shirt, a bodice made out of scraps of linen, and my Polonaise convertible history bounding dress. Those are the ones that have videos, so I'm not gonna get super into that. Okay, if you're invested enough to have gotten this far into the video, I suppose it's only fair that you get a little preview of what's coming this year, and that I finally explain what I've been hinting at for probably months now, and that is the history bounding patterns that I'm working on are for a book that I'm writing. I've been hesitant to talk about it super publicly, though I suppose right at the end of a video that's probably not gonna get watched all the way to the end is probably not super public, but yes, I've been hesitant to announce it super publicly. Just, you know, life is unpredictable and you don't know if something's gonna go wrong, but I figured I would stick it in here and maybe that would help hold me accountable, because it is like my like ideal goal, plan, whatever. I would like to get it published this year, so fingers crossed for that. As for this channel, I would like to start posting more regularly as well this year. I'm hesitant to promise anything specific just because it is just, I mean, it's hard to know what the future's gonna hold. But I will say that at least for January, I do have plans to post once a week. I'm not sure about after that. That's the sort of thing I'll just have to see when I get there. But there's some history bounding videos in the works, obviously, because there's going to be a little bit of overlap in projects between book and channel, just because that's what I'm pouring all my time into, so that's what you guys get to see too. And some more like general process videos, I guess. I would really like to show you guys more about how I make my patterns, if there's interest in that. Yeah, if there's anything else that you're particularly interested to see or hear about, do just let me know, leave me a comment, you know. I'm happy to add it to the queue. And yeah, I'm sure that this video has gone on more than long enough, so thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. I will see you next week. Bye!